श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So I welcome you all to this extra session after the Samskriti camp. Yeah, just for us to have like a look back, a review, and to have some useful interchange. But thank you all for the beautiful reviews you have sent us individually and in the group. It was much appreciated by everybody. And congratulations to all of you who found, the value in enrolling the children to this heritage camp, Vedic heritage camp, which is, I would say, a must in modern times, where there is so much of conflicting values and stress and all that. And of course, we are also open to suggestions and improvements, but from our side, we found that this is the first time we have done an online children's camp, summer camp. Yeah? Some of us have attended or conducted an offline camp, before last year, before the lockdown and everything. Yeah? So what we found that these 10, 11 days was too long. And definitely in future, we will plan shorter camps, 5 days or maximum 7 days, but not more than that. And another thing which I found was the range was quite a bit. There were students from 6 and 7 and up to 14 or maybe even beyond. So I think it is better to segregate and have two kinds of sessions for the juniors and the seniors instead of having collective thing, which was great fun, this time. But since it's the first time, now we know it would be better to do that. And you know why? Because children, at a young age, it is very easy to give them these beautiful samskaras of Samskriti. They are quick to learn, and I think they may be obedient also in the younger age group. Yeah, and they learn by imitation. Yeah, when we do something, they're happy to do it with us. Yeah, so and we can tell them stories, as Dr. Arvindra Garu was saying. We can just entertain them with the stories and the shlokas and activities like puja. And even though the direct message is not told to them, but it subconsciously, permeates into their minds. They are like wet clay. You can mold it in any way we want, So there is so much energy, so much enthusiasm, so much openness, so much tenderness that one has to channelize it, and the sooner we do that, the better. In fact, our acharyas say even the highest Vedantic truths, we can give it at a very young age. So what happens is then it will be embedded as a capsule. Yeah. And then the capsule will be digested over time. And they, of course, will also be knocked around in the world and will have their own experiences and digest it. And then finally, they'll come around in a very positive way. So this is the internal defense mechanism, the defense mechanism of the Hindu samskaras, which, is due to our Samskriti. Now, all of us adults, we are a product of our Samskriti, right? So thanks to our parents and our grandparents and Amar Chitra and Ramayana, Mahabharata serials, to a large extent, we are today a product of all that. Now let's look at the second category. The older children, like 13 onwards, I would say, or 13, 14. That is a very crucial age. Yeah. So there is an entry into adulthood. And they are not entirely dependent, not entirely independent. Yeah? So it is a confusing stage. And in these modern times, when they don't have a core identity or some kind of infrastructure to fall back on, becomes very difficult. Yeah. But still, I would say, it's not totally hopeless. If they've not been given the samskaras earlier, we can still do it. But we would do it in a more interactive way, in a more thought-provoking way, and sessions which are not just do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, but in a more challenging way, which is in keeping with their, superb minds, which we saw yesterday. Amazing, the PowerPoint presentations they gave, and how much thought and planning went into all their presentations, right? So that is this division of the two categories. And then Puja Swamiji would say that when we give these samskaras to children, young and, the young adults, yeah, and show them how to live an ethical life in keeping with Sanatana Dharma, all that we've been seeing, then we have, paved the way for them to become mature, responsible adults who are great contributors, role models, and who are free from conflict and complexes. Today, so many of us also, we are seeking approval from social media, from other people. We want them to be mirrors reflecting how good we are, how accomplished, how fair we are, or whatever. But once the Samskriti gives us that core identity, whether it is through the parents or grandparents or camp teachers, then there is that sense of adequacy, sense of security, and sense of being comfortable with oneself, being oneself. That is the goal. That is what we are trying to do in the camps. Yeah. Now the camps are happening only once a year. So how much can we do in these camps, right? So the greater chunk of responsibility, of course, needless to say, lies with you all. So you are shaping, the children every moment of their life. They're watching you, they're observing you, they're imitating you, and hence charity begins at home, discipline, everything begins at home. Yeah? Now, easier said than done, So I haven't actually parented somebody. So parenting tips is very easy to give. Yeah. And we have all been exposed to a lot of sessions where Pujya Swamiji has addressed very young children and youths and teenagers across the globe. He says that Indian children, for example, in US, they face so much conflict. Why? Because there is a culture at home. There is a lot of peer pressure, and there is a culture outside the home. So Swamiji would say, don't ever cross the seas, go to US for your higher studies or a job, for the young children. And even now, when, Swamiji's ashram in US, there are children who have been coming in their teenage years, and thanks to the programs offered by the Sailorsburg ashram, they have attained a great deal of insight and grounding in this culture. Yeah. Now, coming back to India. So today, what is the situation here? We find the major two religions are fighting and dominating each other across the world. And Hinduism is fighting today for survival. Yeah? Our history books do not mention the great Cholan architecture and all these beautiful, glorious golden period. So, and hence what has happened? There is no pride in being a Hindu. There is no pride in our history. Yeah. Anyway, that is a part, a side topic. So again and again, the idea of this camp is to revive the Samskriti, and so that we will not consider it as a bunch of superstitions and dogmas, but something that will, give my life a direction and purpose and meaning at every stage of life, every day and every stage of life. So that secure core person is, what the samskaras are going to define. Yeah? So now we'll get into the specifics later, but I just want to briefly introduce our parampara. So can we have those slides, Divya? So my name is Swamini Sumatmananda, and I am a Shishya of beloved Puja Swamiji, Dayananda Saraswati, which most of you would know, who's a traditional teacher of Vedanta. And Swamiji has, taught many long-term courses in Vedanta, Samskritam for decades, for 50 years, I think. So there are 4 ashrams that are Arshavidya Gurukulams. This one is perhaps the closest to us in Coimbatore. You see Swamiji's temple there in Coimbatore. This was where we would have satsangas, and now it's a puja room. And this is the entrance here. And then we have a beautiful Dakshinamurti temple. And then this is the kutia, where Swamiji would stay. And so in Coimbatore, we have offline, maybe now only online summer camps for children every year. Yeah. So a good deal of students come, and even other than the yearly programs, there are programs for children. So like me, there are maybe 300 teachers all over the world who are teaching Gita, Upanishads, Prakaranas, Shankara Prakarana, Samskritam, Vedic chanting, in various cities of India and abroad. Yeah. And next ashram is, let's look at Nagpur. So Nagpur is actually the name is Arsha Vijnana Gurukulam, but that's okay. Divya had given us this. You see in blue the temple, and there is a Gita Charya there and Dakshinamurti, and some of us had visited the Nagpur Gurukulam. And there is one Mataji, you can see her walking. And there is one Mataji, she's absolutely brilliant in Paninian's Sanskritam and everything. So I had the privilege of being there for 10 months in the Gurukulam. And there also children come from the nearby villages to absorb the values. Yeah. And in all these, next slide, please. In all these ashrams, we have programs for on Vedanta, Sanskritam for adults, as well as for children and teenagers and young adults. This is Rishikesh by the Ganga, directly facing the Ganga. And again, in every ashram, we have a temple, a lecture hall, and staff, Annakshetram, and everything. So one can visit for short-term stay or long-term stays, maybe after the lockdown is over. And the next one, we'll show the Sailorsburg. Yeah. So Sailorsburg is a very special ashram. And there we have, there we have one Savitri madam. Savitri ma'am has been doing kids camp for children, of residing in the US. Mainly Indian children would come, for years. Maybe she's doing it for 25 years now. That's her sitting in the middle. And then they put up dance dramas. They enact Upanishad acts like Kathopanishad, and so these are the children who are growing up in a mixed culture, by culture, US culture, and at home there is the Hindu culture. And the parents would of course insist on the Indian culture, but then these students would find a conflict, So in camps, they can very well, try to resolve these conflicts by Q&As, by discussions, and all this for the older children. Yeah, pujas, and this is the Dakshinamurti temple there, and yeah. Can you show that Kumud slide? So there is the lady in green. She has been teaching, offering the kids camp in USA for many years now, and she says beautifully how character building begins in childhood, but given the fast pace of life, absence of the ancient Gurukula system, and decline of joint family living, children of Indian heritage are rarely exposed to the beauty and greatness of Indian culture. These classes offer a modern day alternative in which a loving teacher teaches children what they ought to know in a fun way with the love of a parent, the doting of a grandparent, and the discipline of a teacher. One's emotional maturity is influenced by many factors, including an understanding of values, attitudes, and of the society in which one lives. These classes help children understand the value of values like non-injury, speaking the truth, compassion, sharing, humility, absence of deception, absence of jealousy, hatred, and so on. So, so we can stop this slide, I think. So then here, the value of values, Swamiji would be very clear about this. He would say, what is the value of a value? So the value of a value should be valuable to us. So let's take the value of Satyam, truth. Children today will ask you, Appa, why should one speak the truth when I can earn money by, bribing or telling a lie? So appreciating that what do I lose by not following a value and what do I gain by adhering to the value is to have appreciation for the value of value. And there is a whole book on that, the value of values, where Pujya Swamiji talks about 20 values, beautiful values taken from the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So that is, the last camp, it was just a little sample what we showed or tried to share, and there is much more. It's a build-up, So what would be good is the Samskriti camp that just ended. If all the children can absorb that content, the daily shlokas, the subhashitams, only the content, the Gita shlokas, the Ramayana stories, I think everybody knows more than us. And then if they're ready, having memorized it, then one can go to the next level of next camp. So, Pujya Swamiji has addressed many youths regarding, the cultural values, the ethics, and so on. And he had put across a set of topics, which I would like to share with you now. A series of topics that shows us that how much important it is to, can we have that slide, topics? Yes. So you see, our Hinduism or Vedic culture is not at all an ordinary culture. It is like a banyan tree, and not like a trimmed tree, banyan tree. It is not by one prophet. It's a way of life. It's thousands of years ago, and it is interpreting the values. So these are some of the topics that Swamiji said, we can gradually expand the minds of children so that they are prepared for the realities of life. So what are the topics here? How to achieve any success In fact, the very definition of success is there in the Gita. The one who can manage the raga dveshas, the one who has a certain level of emotional maturity is already successful. So we don't need an external yardstick for success. Then creation is non-separate from the Lord. You know? How to make the children understand that idol worship, symbolism, it's a symbol, and we go beyond that to worship the all-pervading Ishvara. And hence there are not many gods, there's not one God, but only God. And each and everything is a manifestation of that one God. Then principle of dharma, we saw the 3 pillars already. And the Vedas, the Vedas have quite inbuilt psychology, especially in the Karma Kanda portion. Every valedictory speech, there will be an address. Even today, the Shastra University of Tanjore, they will take these lines from the Taittiriya Upanishad and say, Swadhyayanna pramaditavyam matradevo bhava pitrudevo bhava acharyadevo bhava. So there are a few lines which emphasize the values that the student must take when he or she leaves the school and goes out into the world. Yeah. So there is psychology, and then there is a religious way of life, and then of course Jnana Kanda. That's for us, Vedanta. So as Dr. Arvind Rao Garu said, we bring the teachings of the Vedas in a fun way, in an entertaining way initially for the children, and then later on one is prepared for the direct vision and the teachings of the Upanishads. And then in the camps, we also have talks on the mind. What is the mind? I'm talking about these topics not for the young children, but the crucial age, to 12, 13 years and above. What is the mind, ways of working, and cognition, emotion? How can we harmonize the intellect and the heart? Then keeping a journal. What I shared yesterday was a spiritual diary. Yeah. And the spiritual diary where there are questions, the parents can kindly ask the children to keep the diary for a week. Yeah, and they log in the number of hours, yes or no. And then you compare week after week. So like that, nowadays you have gratitude journal also. So many journals you can have. But spiritual diary is by the great Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh. Then why is one disinterested and not concentrated? Because there is no interest. So how to develop interest and how to develop memory? That is also a feature of Vedic culture. Next. Then understanding the mind, when do I act? What is action and what is reaction? When am I conscious of action and when is it mechanical and impulsive? And so how to take care of the mind. Remember the Gita Shloka Divya had shared? Uddharedatmanatmanam atmanam avasadhiyet atmaiva hyatmano bandhu atmaiva ripuratmanah. So the mind can become the child's worst enemy and also best friend. So taking care of the mind. Yeah? Like be kind to the mind is the mantra. Then I am with what I do. I am as good as I think of myself. Swamiji would often say in the Mahabharata, we have this Duryodhana going on committing, all kind of offenses, right? Then you'd say, see, Gandhari, if she had not tied that, if she had not blindfolded herself, then she would have seen what her children are doing, So sometimes Swamiji would give us these twists in our itihasas. So if the parents look into the eyes of the children and appreciate them or correct them then and there, then, there is that growth. Something else has come in, Divya? Yeah. So very important. You can see when the parents look into the eyes that there is appreciation in the eyes, and also there is disapproval. Okay, she can share it again. Yeah. So these are the few things that, and of course, we expect the children to adhere to the values. Then we have to examine ourselves also. If they see us, I have to give you share permission. Yeah. So then it is like practicing what we preach. Yeah. Then childhood problems, then opening up communication lines. And then we know the Vedic tradition is, it's not an organized religion. Maybe that's the problem today. It's not organized. It's a way of life. And there are two types of hitam, So the karma kanda and seva and upasanas is about what? Developing emotional maturity. But the latter portion, jnana kanda, the direct path, is about the ultimate freedom. Yeah? So this is the Vedic way of life and the vision. Very beautifully talked about by the great Rajagopalacharya. So this is then the way. What is emotional maturity? And to the extent that one can give these samskaras to our children and our grandchildren, to that extent there will be the inner emotional maturity. Yeah. Okay. Now, after this, I think enough of talking. Yeah. So, as I was telling yesterday, so what can we do? We know all this, whatever I've talked about is nothing new. So, you know this book, right? How to Teach Hinduism to Your Child. Yeah? Written by author is Dr. Arvind Rao. And here he explains, all these important features of Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. And in the end, I would just like to read a few tips. What can we do? Yeah. First is parents must gain the fundamentals of Hinduism. Yes. And I'm not talking about older parents here, but maybe the more younger parents. Anybody here who agrees with me? Niharika is smiling. Yes. So don't ever think it's too late. Okay. So you please, adults can also enroll in Gita classes. Better late than never, right? And age is just a number in a way. Okay. So here Arvind Rao Garu says parents must gain knowledge of the fundamentals of Hinduism, and we will share a few sites, and you can go to those sites. Arsha Vidya is there, Chinmaya Mission, Samskriti Bharati, Vyoma Labs, so many are there. Yeah, we must be aware that a lot of adverse literature is being produced by Western writers and also by anti-India Hindu people also, some NRIs. And they are, teaching something very contrary to our basic values. Let religion not be a burden to the child. Yeah, introduce it in a fun way, visiting a temple, listening to stories in a casual and natural way. Yeah? If we insist too much, then they're going to rebel, right? So too much orthodoxy is not needed. May create, in fact, negative tendencies in the child. Yeah. Then the child, of course, should be introduced to Ramayana, Mahabharatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, it is said, first we all should be exposed to Ramayana. Ramayana is about dharma, right? I mean, all the values are there. And then about Mahabharatam, the logistics of how to face reality of life. Once dharma is in place, then, we can live life to the fullest extent. And then Bhagavat. Rama, Krishna, Hari. Rama, Krishna, Hari. Rama is Ramayana, Krishna is Mahabharata, Hari is Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam's essence is what? The Moksha Purushartha. Ultimately, we want to gain the absolute devotion. Yeah? So this is the order generally, Ramayana for children first. And children imitate parents, so we must have a prayer corner, an altar, and a ritual. Need not be elaborate. Arati at least once a day. And then when you eat with the children, chant the shlokas. And whenever possible, teach them to do the daily shlokas. Then have some kind of a satsang together. Lata Balakrishnan, one of my students, she's not here. She makes it a point every evening, half an hour, they all chant the Gayatri mantra together. Her children are quite old now. Maybe both are married, but still they do it. So Gayatri mantra is the best mantra for children. At least a few minutes a day. Then, yeah, we can have these books from Ramakrishna Mission, Chinmaya, Ashavita. Just keep them around, in your homes, so that there will be a subconscious programming. And watch a few spiritual channels with them together, so that they will, through imitation, they will learn a lot. So that there is no conscious pressure, but it is more on a subconscious level. We can watch devotional programs on TV, and also good for parents to practice yoga and pranayama together. That would be good. Then teach your children some verses. They will grow in confidence when we do all this. Know your child. See, the influence of friends, friends and teachers is very strong. So only when we have a friendly approach will the children open up and, share with us, right? And he concludes by saying a broad study of world history is also helpful to understand the evolution of different religions and to recognize the glorious tradition of Hinduism. See, many countries, of the world, they study their own history in school at a very young age. The European schools, they have to study even about the World War so that they can learn about it. But which is not, unfortunately, the case here back home. So this is then the situation today, that one must discover the glory of our tradition, take pride in it, and own it up and live it, if we are not already living it. And I remember Kanchi Mahaperiva, once he had said that the only solution to cosmic harmony is this Vedic way of life and the Vedic vision. Vedic vision, Tattvamasi, goal, Vedanta. But the Vedic way of life leading to that. This is the formula for world peace. And I think we all agree with that. Yes. And so in smaller or bigger ways, we can make a huge difference in our children's lives. And we are already doing that. I was talking to Satyanarayan. He shared some very father of Aditya, who is here today. He shared a few beautiful things as a parent. Now, can I unmute you, Satyanarayan, and you can share about, what is what is your daily life looks like, which you already shared with me.
My daily life or Aditya's?
Yeah, all of you. How do you live so that it will positively impact the child?
Yeah, I think one is, of course, all of us, as you rightly said, Swamini, that we are living two things. We are living under pressure. We are living under distraction. These are the two major things, because we are behind money. We want to progress in career, and there's always a chase of achieving things in life. So in that effect, what is happening is there is no work-life balance. Basically we all spend so much of time in office, no timings, midnights and early morning calls, and so what is happening is your daily routines are completely getting ruined, right? So in this context, what is happening today is what I was observing. I had a late issue. In fact, when Aditya was born, a little late for me, and meantime, I had actually fairly progressed in my career, and I was also very busy. And I used to, midnight waking up was a norm for me, right? 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and all that. So what essentially happened is that our whole habit in the house was completely changed, right? In terms of people get up late and wake up, and then this become a problem. Then what we found immediately that after our child was born, that this is not the right way to do. So we wanted to ensure that first of all, fix your routines, right? I think which is not happening today in many houses. I've seen quite a lot of my friends actually, kids sleep at 12 o'clock night. It's becoming an absolute usual affair. They sleep at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then they wake up late. Wake up late has become a norm. For example, arguments. Even with my own wife. When I want Aditya to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do Sandhya, oh, Sunday, ஏதானே இன்னைக்கு பரவாயில்ல 8 மணிக்கு தூங்கட்டும். So what is happening today is their bio clock is constantly getting disrupted. There's nothing, no single routine. So what I wanted to do is initially to ensure that get a routine first. Forget about spirituality, forget about rest of stuff. There should be some time for everything, right? They should go to bed on time, wake up on time. That's the first thing. Because if you don't do that, you can't really plan for the next day. It becomes a major issue, right? If you want to, then I started. I was very irregular in Sandhya Vandanam. I learned Sandhya Vandanam. I used to do pujas, but I was fairly irregular. But I have my own excuse of having work pressure and all that. Then I made sure that, irrespective of whatever happens, even if it is a little hard thing to do, I will wake up at 5:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I will perform Sandhya Vandanam in front of my kid, right? And I made it as a point to do at least for an year, right? And it has become so, and everybody in the house watched me doing it. Everybody, then I also was very particular that my wife does puja every day, either myself or one of us. If I'm not available, she does it. It happens as a routine. Puja happens as a routine. Essentially what I'm trying to say is the parents should demonstrate, walk the talk. It is not enough to just advise the kid, do this well, and then be spiritual and be good. You have to demonstrate, because kids do not, in my view, kids do not learn by teaching. Kids learn by seeing and witnessing what's happening in front of their eyes. I mean, they form impressions, right? So that became a habit. And then we also wanted to ensure that he gets his Upanayanam as soon as possible, because I was very particular that, in fact, I was very particular that he gets his Upanayam at 5 years, when he was 5 years. Then there was a lot of pressure. They said 7 years. And they said, and then a lot of pressure from family. No, Rumba Enge, why do you want to do Upanayanam? Why can't it be 13 years? Or can't it be 11 years? I said, no. Because if he doesn't learn Sandhya Vandanam now, he will never learn in his whole life. Because what really happens today is early fifth standard. Now seventh, eighth, we are all in a rat race. Then you start preparing a kid for a NEET exam or a IIT exam, and then the studies take precedence over rest of the other things, right? So you will not have time. You will have busy right from morning till evening, and then you will have all sorts of excuses not to learn things. Right? So I wanted to inculcate this habit of doing this regular prayers right at the early age. So I want to ensure that he gets Upanayana on time. And then I sat with him. I took leave. I took a holiday, from my office for 2 months. I took off. Ensure that morning, afternoon, and evening, I sit with him and do Sandhya Vandanam and I teach him. Because I also timed it in a way that, it was during the summer, Uttarayanam period, April, May, so that his vacation is there. So I wanted to time it in such a way that, because if I do Upanayana, it's somewhere in between, again, he has to go into routine of schools, and, that gets lost, that thread gets lost. So I want to ensure that it happens on April or May during Uttarayan time. And then for the next 1 month, I was with him continuously for 2 months time till he was getting the mantras by heart. Okay. And this was very particular. I was very particular about it. And second thing, what I also did is in every major puja, not everyday basis, but at least all the major Vinayaka Chaturthi or Janmashtami or Ramanavami, or we have tons of them. At least we have 16, 17 major pujas, Saraswati pujas. So
Satyanarayanji, it is said we have 12 months in a year, but 13, 14 festivals.
Correct. So we do very detailed puja, and during these, at least the 16th step puja, we very particular that in these major festivals, we do that very, very elaborately. It takes at least an hour of preparation, decoration, preparation. Part is the making part of the way, in Mavala cooker, you do that, and then tie on your, on your door, right? Part is a project. The kids love it, right? We have a mango tree. We pick it up and we do that, right? And then mopping the floor of the puja room, or even wiping the altars. Everything he was participating. I wanted to ensure that there's some celebration. There's something which is important.
Okay.
And then,
Thank you. Yes, Satyanarayanji, I just want to say one thing, that you are employed with Microsoft, you said?
IBM.
IBM, yeah. So that, look at the work pressure. for Satyanarayan ji. And yet we see how beautifully, if where there is a will, there is a way, right? Now, if the child's future, not in terms of worldly success, but in terms of that secure personality that we want them to be, if that's important to us, then we will have to balance all the priorities and rearrange it, which Satyanarayan ji so beautifully explained. So you see, at a young age, the Subhashitam, which I wanted to share, Aditya already knew the meaning of that. Satyam Bruyat, already at such a young age, he knows so much. Gayatri. Now, I just want to ask anybody else who wants to share. It's also, free for Q&As. Any parent would like to share something, you can raise your hand. Or anything you want to ask, that's fine too. See, puja is very, very, makes a huge impact on the child. We heard in our sessions how the Pancha Mahabhutas are involved. Yes, and Sudha, maybe you can share a few things. I'm unmuting you. Just briefly, you all share so that we don't run short of time. Yeah.
Yes, as you say, puja, we should involve the children.
Mm.
My younger granddaughter, younger sister to Vishruta, she's only 4-year-old. Daily she sits with me to do Shiva Puja.
Wow.
One day, if she misses that, she starts crying. Why did you do the puja without me? Party, I have to say Om Namah Shivaya.
Oh my.
So daily I wait for her to take the bath and she does the puja with me. And she enjoys Vishruta also. Vishruta has classes, school classes. So in between her break, she also comes running and they enjoy doing it. Daily they both Abhishekam, everything they do with me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else? Today also she must have done, right? Anybody else wants to say anything? I can't see all of you. I think some cameras are turned off. How about Vedant's mother? Can you unmute? Vedant is a very important word for us. Let me ask you, how did you end up naming him Vedant? Can you unmute?
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. You can speak in any language, whatever you're comfortable with. Telugu or?
Yeah, Telugu better. He will do, ma'am. Now after the session, I'm making him to daily do the prayer.
Okay.
Daily. The slokas early morning. He will do his puja. He will feed birds morning.
Ah, great.
In the session, here 11 days,
Yes, wonderful. What is your name?
Shilpa.
Shilpa. Thank you, Shilpa ji, for sharing that. Wonderful to know. See, this is the camp is more for parents. So, because just like you're helping them with the project work, academic project work, now you have to do the same for the camp content. So, whatever was provided to you by Divya, slides, you have to somehow enforce it. So, kindly please do that. Today itself, when you sit for food, lunch, after the session, you all chant Brahma, Panam Brahma Havihi. That one is one. Then Annapurne Sada Purne. Now, you can do that if you don't already have some prayers. If you already have some Bhojanam prayers, then just continue, because this may be in addition to that, maybe too much. Yeah. So that is left to you. But something, every activity of the day, let it be punctuated by, Swamiji would say this is called Ishwarizing the day. Let us Ishwarize every ritual, bath, eating, writing, studying, speaking, divinizing is the meaning. Anybody else wants to share anything? Unnati's parents. I was very amazed to see the beautiful artwork and the thought that went in, behind their PPTs yesterday, very, very nice. Bhavik's mother, would you like to chant something? Say something? Yes?
Hello, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I'm Rachita, ma'am. I'm Rachita, Bhavik's mother.
Okay.
Thank you so much for all the team, ma'am. You have done a very, very good work, ma'am. We are very much grateful to you, ma'am. And one thing I wanted to share, ma'am, like whenever we are chanting, me and my son Bhavik was chanting. My daughter she's just 3 years old. She's also started doing everything, all the shlokas and everything. That's very, I felt it very happy, ma'am, to see her also involving in these things. And one more thing, ma'am, I just wanted to ask, is there any schools, ma'am, to teach along with the regular regular academics, along with Vedic culture and all, any Samskriti and all? Is there are any schools, ma'am? Can you please suggest if they are?
No, by schools, you mean you want to change the school of your children, or something in addition to existing school?
No, ma'am. Including regular studies along with these kind of activities.
Yeah, there are very few schools, like there's Arsha Vidya, Mandiram, or Shishu Graham. Some of you are from that, no? Some of the children. But generally, the schools will only cater to the general syllabus, academic. That is why the ashrams and other institutions, they make up.
That's where we are missing all these things, ma'am, because we cannot teach them daily on a daily basis.
Okay. Now, one more idea comes to my mind, and that is, one of, in fact, two of Puja Swamiji's Shishyas, brother and sister, one Dheera Chaitanya and Pramananda Swamini, they have put together a whole set of books to be implemented in all schools from kindergarten up to 12th. It's called Purna Vidya. Okay, just one moment, let me get the book. So, can you see the Vedic Heritage Teaching Program? And this is Puja and Prayer. So, like this, there are 20 books. Yes, and so Arsha Vidya has already implemented the spiritual content of all these books systematically from KG to 12th standard in about 300 schools of India. Only 300. So, but there are training programs for you all, parents, who would know how to learn this and then do the same thing for your children at home on a regular basis. Just like you teach your children maths and physics and botany, so you will spend some time at home. Yeah? Now, we will share all the sites, later on in the group, which site to go in for what. Okay. And for us, we will do this Arsha Vidya, or try to do the camp, Samskriti camp, every year for sure. And maybe if it's reduced the duration, 5 days or 7 days, we can even do it twice a year. Yes, winter camp and summer camp. Okay, all right. Thank you. Anybody else? One last. Unnati's mother, would you like to say something? Any suggestions you have, questions, and you may ask.
हेलो मैम.
Hello, good morning.
नहीं, मुझे एक क्वेश्चन पूछने का था.
हाँ,
अभी घर में मतलब एक वाइफ रहती है और उसको बहुत इंटरेस्ट रहता है जो भगवान का करना है बोल के, लेकिन फैमिली में किसी को इंटरेस्ट नहीं रहता है ज्यादा. हेलो.
हेलो, यस, आप बताइए.
तो मुझे अभी मतलब मुझे क्या हो रहा है बोले तो, बच्चों को अभी भगवान के सामने में बिठाई तो उनका कंसंट्रेशन ज्यादातर बाहर नहीं करना जैसे ही हो रहा है उनको. मतलब जो मतलब घर में जो एनवायरनमेंट है ना, वो 20% सिर्फ भगवान का है और 80% नास्तिक जैसा है, समझिए.
अच्छा.
तो उनको कंसंट्रेशन उन पे ही ज्यादा जा रहा है, मेरे पास नहीं आ रहा है, तो इसके लिए मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ, मुझे पूछने का था।
ओके, हाँ मैं समझ गई आपकी बात। आप इंग्लिश भी समझते हैं?
आई नो इंग्लिश
तो
मैम।
आई विल आंसर इन इंग्लिश। एक्चुअली मैं दिल्ली में रही हूँ 30-40 साल, तो हिंदी तो मेरे लिए तो बहुत ही आसान है, बट फिर भी मैं अंग्रेजी में बात करूंगी, क्योंकि कुछ लोग यहाँ हैं जो तमिलनाडु से हैं, हिंदी नहीं समझ पाएंगे, है ना?
ओके।
हाँ, आपका नाम?
ज्योति मैम, उन्नति मदर, ज्योति।
Thank you, Jyoti. So you see, Jyoti has a very beautiful question and an important question. That is, in the home environment is not conducive for spiritual activities. You know, only 20%. So how can she enforce it? You know, now the only answer is we cannot dramatically change the home environment, right? But you know, if you strongly connect with your child, then your child will still absorb what you do. If you do what you are doing consistently and with sachi bhavana se agar aap karenge, you know, with concentration, then definitely over a period of time, the children will follow you. Okay.
ओके।
So you don't worry about that. You know, भगवान से प्रार्थना कीजिए कि भगवान प्लीज हमारा होम एनवायरनमेंट बदल दीजिए. So see, prayers really work, okay, and we are using them all the time. So we can pray to Bhagwan also, and a sattvic prayer, you know, sattvic bhavana जो है, sattvic प्रार्थना जो है, वो तो definitely भगवान की सुनते हैं, and it will change. Yeah.
ओके।
So by forcing somebody, it's not going to do. But if you are consistent, like Satyanarayan ji was saying, no matter what, I will do it. Then over a period of time, the shift will happen. In fact, बच्चों क्या बड़े भी आपके पीछे पड़ जाएंगे. You know, जो भी एंटी पूजा है, तो उनको आप उनकी निंदा ना कीजिए, और you know, आप वो भी सही मार्ग में आ जाएंगे. Thank you.
मैम।
Okay. Nitika has raised a hand. Yes, Nitika.
Hello everyone. Hello ma'am. This is my first time saying hello to all the parents and you.
Yes, first time for everyone, I think.
I would like to take a second to thank you for this opportunity for Nitika. It's a wonderful opportunity. I appreciate all the efforts. I just wanted to put a word to Jyoti about her question.
Yes.
I am also from, I have a very strong religious or spiritualistic background from childhood, but the place I got married into is very different. How she says, there's only 20%. I would even say my house is 5%. 5%, importance to that aspect. Not that they don't believe it, just that they don't have it in their routines.
Correct.
It's not in their routines. And so what happens is I have children, and I have two of them, two little girls, Nitika 7 years and the other one is 2 years old. So when I'm trying to do my routine every day, there's always a criticism or a skepticism about, oh, what do you do? Why should we even do it? We all are just fine the way we are, but knowing the value of this, knowing what it has, how much peace can be achieved at home, how much happiness it can bring just by doing our ways. I have experiences, so I want my children, also others in the family, to experience that. So in order to do that, the only way is to, as you said, the most important thing is consistency. The other one is perseverance. In spite of whatever happens, you get up at 5 o'clock, do your work, do your puja, give some time for yourself, as in, to do your things your way. And then the children, every time I wash my face in the evening, my child is like, why do you go wash your face now? I say, oh, because without washing my face, hands and feet, I cannot get into my altar, to my puja room. So when I wash my face, she goes, tells her dad, don't call her now. She's going to do her puja and come back. So, slowly over time, they understand that, that is part of my mom's life. She achieved some kind of happiness and peace in that. And now there is So even eating food, the ways they eat food. So, growing up, going to a school that valued a lot of Hinduism. I went to a school called Padma Sheshadri in Chennai.
Oh, I know that school, yes.
Yes, and Padma Sheshadri values our rituals, our customs, our ways very much.
It's Arshavidya Mandiram, right?
And they have the Padma Sheshadri Balabhavan Senior Secondary School run by Dr. Y.G. Parthasarathi.
Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful.
I've had those value imbibed in me, like, there's something I cannot give up for any reason. So there are specific days in the month I don't eat meat. I'm not a meat eater. I quit meat. So I'm not a meat eater, but in my house they do, like, encourage children to eat meat any day of the month, be it Saturday, Sunday, be it a festival, doesn't matter. So they do eat, but when they offer it to me, I say, I'm sorry, this is not my day. I can wait for it, even though, even though there is a liking and desire, but yeah, the desire can wait. By saying small things in a very humble way, I think the children do understand there is something important Amma is trying to show. I don't want to be an example to everybody at home, but somewhere the children also have to catch up this.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing such wonderful views. And yes. So this Padma Seshadri, Swamiji was very close to the school in Chennai, and they have implemented most of this Arshavidya culture there. So there are few schools like that in Bharatam, but of course by no majority. Yeah. So definitely the majority of the contribution to our children's future security, maturity, emotional maturity must come from home. And since the life has become so fast paced, that's going to be a challenge. So I hope the families are not nuclear like Sudhaji. You all have some grandparents who can do this, and it is so lovely for the grandparents. They enjoy it, and grandchildren. There is no pressure between the two. Pressure only in between the parents are facing. Yeah, the children face pressure from their parents, and parents also facing pressure from children, which is natural. It's easy for us to say, don't be stressed out and tell the children do this, do that. Normal parent would do that. And if you ask me, our parents and their parents and their parents, every parent definitely tries their best. Once the intention is mostly to do the best for the children, but circumstances are such that they apply pressure. So let us, do the prioritization, and what values we have to contemplate on it. Like Satyanarayan said, work will always be there, and the corporate sector will put more and more and more work. But is that the direction you want for your life? Less quality time with your family. What are we earning for? Time is going away. It does not wait for anybody. So we must take a moment to press the pause button in our lives and to rearrange everything. Okay, now if there are no more questions, I would like to show you a video and then we will conclude. Okay, I think we have addressed the important points, and parenting tips cannot be exhausted in one session. So maybe we will continue to share some important talks, and there are beautiful transcripts of Puja Swamiji on talks to teenagers and young adults, which I will try to share via email or whatever the medium. Is it okay? Shall we move on to the video, the last point? Yes. Now, this video is by a friend of mine. Let me see if I can. Yeah. How we speak to our children shapes them for life. Agreed? Everybody agrees? Yes. So this is the language we use at home. Yeah. And I have a friend and a Guru Behan, Swamini Brahma Pragyananda. We studied together. We have all done long-term courses with Puja Swamiji, many long-term courses in Samskritam and Vedanta in the Gurukulams. What a golden period that was. But then Swamiji said, no, you have to go out and teach. So this friend of mine, she has graduated in psychology, and then now she's also, like all of us, teaching Vedanta, but also incorporating psychology. Yeah? So she has spoken here, the voice is hers, and we're going to listen to her about what is her suggestion and view on how we speak to our children. Okay. Now I have to, I think, share some sound. Share sound. Just Satyanarayan ji, can you give me a thumbs up?
Ganeshaya Namaha.
Is it clear? Sound is okay?
Om Ganeshaya Namaha. When our child was born, we too were born as a father or a mother. The reasons we decided to be a parent were many. To carry forward the family legacy, to have a living symbol of our love and commitment, family pressure, ticking of the biological clock, to complete the family, or contraception precautions were not taken, or thinking that children will take care of us as we grow older. The Vedic tradition looks at parenting as a sacred responsibility. In helping to create life, you are a divine being. The Taittiriya Upanishad encourages the student to become someone who honors and reveres you. Matradevo bhava, Pitradevo bhava. As a parent, you are indeed worthy of all the reverence and respect. You are a nimitta, an instrument for your child's karma to play out into the world and also help in the different samskaras, purification rites, which are important milestones. As is famously said, your children are not your children. They come through you, but are life itself expressing itself. To have a santana or a child is considered a wealth, referred to as Santana Lakshmi, and you are much the richer for it. As a parent, you come very close to loving unconditionally, and as a child, you come very close to being loved unconditionally. Our priceless life blessing is to be loved and be loving as unconditionally as possible. Parenting can be both fulfilling and frustrating. In the stresses and strains of everyday life, unfortunately, parenting becomes a lot about tasks to be done. Did you do your homework? Did you eat your tiffin? Did you tell your teacher about our vacation? We get into an interrogative mode, and the child thinks of us only as taskmasters. And then we wonder why our children do not share their secrets with us. We have to choose the difficult job of being present, sharing things, and delighting in small joys with our children. Both parents and children come to me with their issues, and a lot of the psychological problems we see today in adults is because of how children were treated. And so we look at 4 kinds of messages in everyday conversations with children of parents. Critical messages. Some examples are, how can you be so stupid? You are useless. You cannot even do one thing right. Your sister is better than you are. Supportive messages. I love you. I'm proud of you. You are so good at some skill. I'm happy to see you share things with others. You did well. I am always there for you. Structuring messages. Let me show you how to do this. So, right from using the toilet to taking a bath to doing homework and learning to learn, learning to fight bullies in school and so on, the how to do something has to be taught by you. Asking the child, what can we do next? will encourage her problem solving skills. Just showing support is not enough. Smothering messages. Don't worry, I will do everything for you. Now, this message appears loving, but it is not. The child grows so dependent on the parent and expects to be rescued all the time. Mama's boys and daddy's little girls take a long time to grow up. As a parent, you are trying your best. We make the effort to have more supportive and structuring conversations with our children. If we have grown up in a critical family, then we have to grow and heal from that and do the work to be present for our children. Of course, there is no such creature as a perfect parent. You do what you can and recognize Bhagwan's principles that shape all karma. Then you can relax in that understanding. I want to conclude with a very beautiful poem. What does your child live with? If a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with hostility, she learns to fight. If a child lives with ridicule, he learns to be shy. If a child lives with shame, she learns to feel guilty. If a child lives with fear, he learns to be anxious. If a child lives with accommodation, he learns to be patient. If a child lives with encouragement, she learns confidence. If a child lives with praise, he learns to appreciate. If a child lives with fairness, she learns justice. If a child lives with security, she learns to feel safe. If a child lives with approval, he learns to like himself. If a child lives with love and acceptance, he learns to be loving in the world. If a child lives with friendliness, she sees the world as a nice place to live in. What our children live with is up to us. May we be worthy of the phrase intended for us, Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Okay. It was a nice video, wasn't it? That's just a little bit of child psychology, which, although we know it, but sometimes, we can maybe practice it more consciously. Just 1 second. There is one question in the chat box that moral education was part of the school sessions in the past, but not anymore. So any suggestions for keeping it up for continuous learning? Yeah. Now, whoever has sent this message, I have a question. Vijay Lakshmi. Yeah. Now, Vijay Lakshmi, when you say moral education, was it a convent school? You can type in the moral science. Even we had. I went to a convent, and I must say I'm happy that they're not there anymore. Okay, the spotlight. How to remove it? Where is the spotlight on, Divya? On whom? Nitika. Yes. So the person who asked the question, kindly, put it in the chat box. That what? Yeah, which school are you referring to? See, one thing is, convents, they did have, or maybe they still have, I don't know, moral science, but you see the difference is other religions, what do they mean by moral science classes? Oh, we were born a sinner, we have sinned and we are born. But what does our religion say? Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma says you are Amrita Putraha, you are Amrita Putri. So right from the beginning, there is a positive, affirmative sentences in our religion. So if, like Nitika said, if you go to a school where these values are taught in a positive way, then definitely that can be done. And I don't see any other better way than to do this. So you all adults and parents and grandparents also, you can take up a course on VHTP. Okay, so VHTP is I'll find out for you. You can Google it also, Purna Vidya, and there are training sessions on how to be trained in imparting this education. So then you can introduce it to schools. Yeah, and there are many such systems. In Chennai also they have done one very good system by Guru Murthy, Padma Subramanian. They came together with a wonderful system. How to bring back the tulsi plant and the multani mitti to our lives, dance, music, kolam, all these things. So yeah, presentation convent. Okay. Yeah, that's not surprising for me. Okay, so I think we can close now. There's nothing, no urgent pressing questions. Yeah, before I close, one very important thing is, now the camp is concluded, and this is just samskara level, right? Here and there, we've all together collectively planted some samskaras. No? But like seeds, they have to sprout. You have to water them. Some of you said no. You have to make sure they fall into place. So, try to chant those very mantras. They're fresh in their minds now, So if you implement them now, you can, they will have a good grounding in it. So I had talked to Satyanarayanji about how about if he would do a puja course for children and parents for a few weekends, and he has kindly agreed whenever it's convenient for him, of course. So, let's say 4 weekends, Saturdays and Sundays for an hour each day. You can figure out the logistics later. We will show the 16 steps or the 5 steps. Yeah? Then if there's a small group, everybody can be guided personally on what is the significance of each step, so that a puja falls in place in your home. Parents can learn it, children can learn it. Yeah, that is one idea. And second is to have a Gita shloka chanting class for children. Remember, Dr. Arvind Rao Garu yesterday said, learn the Gita. So when we do Shabda Grahanam, the Gita shlokas are there. Then at some point later, it will pop up, like a pop-up menu. And then we will want to know, we'll be curious. Oh, I heard this prayer. In my adult classes on Bhagavad Gita, sometimes I say prayers and then the students tell me, oh, I learned this in KG. And now only I know the meaning of it. Even can be Asatoma, Sadgamaya, or Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat. So we will do that. We'll try to plan short-term courses on puja, how to do a puja, and Gita shlokas, and then Ramayana. But this time Ramayana, we can spread it out comfortably over many more sessions than compress into 3. And yeah, these are some things that came into my mind. Yes, Satyanarayanji, I think we hope to hear a yes from you. Okay, great. So I think, yeah, you're unmuted now. I think he may have time from July onwards. Is that right?
Yeah, from July onwards, I can.
Available.
Yeah.
Satyanarayan has got a very strong, good background in Samskritam and all these traditions. And then we can, set up and everything we can do. And then the Gita shlokas, I have asked Divya to, to then continue with some, sometimes, what we do, what Chinmaya Mission does, they will teach children to memorize, let's say 1 chapter, 12 chapter, 20 verses, 15 chapter, 20 verses, finish that up, but not the meaning yet, So we can do something like that and have chanting competition. So Divya will take her time and let us know. You want to say something, Divya? I can unmute you.
I belong to the same school as Nitika's mom, Padma Seshadri. I'm also an alumni from that school in Chennai. I live on the same street, so it was the closest school. Thankfully, I got the best education there. And that is why Padma Seshadri used to send us all to these Chinmaya Mission Gita competitions, Gita chanting competitions in primary school and even in secondary school. So they used to, in the assembly playground, the huge playground where all of the students gather for the morning prayer, they used to teach the Gita shlokas also, because their idea is for maximum participation. And then from each class they would, I mean, internally within the school we will have 4 rounds of Gita competitions before we're actually sent to the actual competition. So that is how Gita was introduced to me as well, like you rightly said, Amma.
Wonderful, Divya. See, I came to know this just now. That Divya has also belongs to that tradition. See, what a beautiful karma. She landed herself in that school. So Divya, then definitely you're the right person to teach chanting. And she's also, not idle. She's working from home, and she was telling me how the camp, she had to shuttle all the sessions. So maybe we let her rest a little bit and catch up on the backlogs. And I have to catch up on my backlog of sleep. So like that. Now, okay, Divya, then Lakshmi Mami, நீங்க ரொம்ப பேசாம உட்கார்ந்திருக்கேள். ஏதான சொல்லுங்க. Unmute பண்ணி சொல்றேல.
Amma, somehow I just finished in 3 days, but let us see, Amma, we will plan accordingly.
See, Ramayana is something that's enjoyed by everybody, and the more we study it, we feel the presence of Hanuman. And what better thing can there be in our homes, right? So, okay. And anyone else wants to say any last thing? Jayashree, yes, Jayashree?
Oh, Mama, and namaste to all. Actually, I really wanted to, I am a grandmother and my grandchildren are all growing up in the US. And there is a little book by Swami Tejomayananda, which I've gifted to a lot of young parents and to my sons as well. This is the book, Parenting by Swami Tejomayananda. It's actually based on his talks during a spiritual camp he held at Toronto, maybe about 20 years back. So I really recommend this book. It's a wonderful book.
Yes.
It's very, very simple. And remember, Amma, that little shlokam, a small shloka in Sanskrit, which deals with parenting beautifully. May I say that?
Yeah, sure.
Lalayet panchavarshani dashavarshani tadayet prapte tu shodashe varshe putram mitravadat charet. That's such a beautiful meaning to it. Lalayet panchavarshani is only your child up to the age of 5. That is, smother him with the affection. Treat him like a king or queen or god. Dasha varshani tadayet. Then next 10 years till he's 15. Literal meaning would be to beat him up, but that doesn't mean you start beating him the moment 5th birthday is over. It means sikshayet. Be strict with him, discipline him, and educate him. This is what is required. Strictness does not mean that you become cruel. No, as I said before, some children may not need also any kind of discipline. Others may require a little bit. Then prapte tu shodashe varshe, when they reach the age of 16, putre mitravad acharet. Then you treat them like your friends. So after they are 16, then you have to take their inputs and they become your friends then. You can't deal with them like you dealt when they were 5 or
Thank you.
10. Oh, Mama.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's a very famous Subhashitam which we teach the children. Parents need to do that. Although that word tadayet maybe needs to be removed. But okay, So I think we are good to close today. And yeah, just 1 second. One last thing I would like to do is no more chat questions. Yes, so yeah, so we are still finishing off the certificates, the writing the names on the certificates, which we will email. And I think it'll be emailed to the active participants of the camp. And however, my team will decide what does that mean, who is an active participant. I think one who attended maximum sessions and homework, I don't think everybody did. We got an average maybe 14 or 16 homework per session on the whole. And I must say that Aditya, he has not dropped even one homework assignment. I think he's the only one who has done all the homework assignments, including the most difficult one given by Niharika on the AIMS presentation. Do you remember? How can one improve the functioning of the chapter alliance if I was an MD? So he has even replied to that. But all the children did very well and to the best of their capacity. And the quiz, everything was fine. So I thank all the parents, grandparents, my students, without whom we could not have done what we did. And things become also easier with experience, right? So next time we'll be a little better organized to face everybody. Now, this WhatsApp group, would you like to exit the WhatsApp group? Just say yes or no. Let us know, or can we keep it open for some inputs? I know, yeah, the chat box, maybe few people, and then email is always there, right? Okay, so we'll conclude now. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shubham Bhuyat to everybody. Please stay safe, and wish you all a wonderful time wherever you are. We will get in touch with you, and you also feel free to give suggestions or anything that you would like to share. Om.